sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So, and they violated it. I don't think I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it.
Okay, as soon as I get away from you, you annoying people on the south lawn of the White House, who let you in here anyway? He did like that one lady, though. He liked that one lady. President Trump this morning leaving, boarding Marine One to head to Air Force One to go to a NATO meeting in Europe. Talking about the, ceasefire is ceasefire. Who broke the ceasefire? Looks like the troglodytes. President Trump announced last night ceasefire in place. Israel, Iran, stop shooting at one another. And looked like it was working for, minutes, a great number of minutes. Not a great number of hours, but a good number of minutes. And then you'll never guess what happened. Maybe you will. The troglodytes, you can't, it's hard to make peace with people that don't really want peace, and they'll lie to you all over the place. They're like, what are they like, Michael? They're like Democrats. They're like Democrats. How did you know that was the answer to that question? Then I guess you've been around here a long time. That's so often the answer to the question, isn't it? If bad things are happening, you take a look around, you scratch that surface, like the New York Times. Let's get out there and scratch that surface, boys. And what you discover is Democrats. And, speaking of which, Boltneck, we still haven't seen, where's Barack Hussein Obama? He should be out there making the rounds, shouldn't he? Talking about, because he's not on the side of civilization. He's on the side of Iran. Did you see the meme making the rounds yesterday? That's one of those representations on Al Gore's amazing internet. He is truly a remarkable man, the Reverend Al Gore. He I haven't seen him lately. Do you think he's lost any weight? Because, and what happened to Tipper? That's kind of a funny name, I know. I think she bugged out, didn't she? Isn't she long gone? She got tired of being steamrolled and all that, but never mind that. Let's get back to the fun meme from yesterday, because there was a fun meme, and there are two photographs. There is one photograph on top and then a second photograph on the bottom, and it was making its way around Al Gore's amazing internet. Again, peace be upon him. And on top of the top photo is what appears to be a giant mountain of cash, a huge amount of cash, and it's American $100 bills. It looks like it might be $1.7 billion. And the caption on the giant pallet of cash with the bands wrapped, $10,000 bands wrapped around all the piles of cash. The caption is, "What Obama sent terrorists." What Obama sent terrorists, right? And then just below that, you see a missile. It could be a cruise missile. It's a military. It's a missile, and it's being propelled by a rocket-like propulsion system. And beneath that, it says, "What Trump sent terrorists," right? So on top, it's a giant mountain of cash, and what Obama sent terrorists. And just below that, what Trump sent terrorists. Isn't that great? Yeah. And honestly, I sent our friend Kevin sent me sent it out to all of us yesterday afternoon, and a little chuckle, and it's like, well, that's true, isn't it? And a lot of fun. And I said, my response was, this is what regime change looks like in the United States. See, the regime change from Barack Hussein Obama, who's sending cash money, plane loads of cash, spending money, drug money, to the terrorists in Tehran. And that's what Barack Hussein Obama sent the terrorists, and sent him Boltneck, too. And Boltneck, he was on the television yesterday talking to his close personal friend, Christian Amanpour, whose family is, coincidentally, Iranian. Can you believe that? Isn't that amazing? But we've got that. And wait till you hear what Boltneck said, because he is really some. Now, we're still trying to sort out. I asked Michael this morning, but I don't think we have clarity on this yet. Did Boltneck take his wife's Gulfstream jet to go do the interview with Christian Amanpour? And we don't know the answer to that yet, but I assume he did. He's very important. He gets to fly private because then he takes more of his wife's money and he buys offsets so that he's still in solid with the left-wing radicals who don't know what women are. The Democrat Party is very unwell. But a great meme making the rounds, and it is what regime change looks like in the United States of America. We go from a presidency, a White House, Barack Obama, sending the fuel that terrorists need to murder more. And then regime change, Donald Trump comes in, and he offered them, hey, we got 60 days, let's sit down, let's negotiate, let's cut a peace deal here. And Iran instead, murdered people because that's who they are. That's what they do. But this is a pretty good representation of regime change inside the United States. Just don't talk regime change in Iran, even if it's internal regime change. Very upsetting to the people at CNN. And I've got, honestly, the Ahmadpour and Boltneck, because Boltneck that was their big score for Christian Ahmadpour and CNN International. Hey, we've got Boltneck. He's going to fly in on his private Gulfstream jet, and he's going to tell us that Trump is bad and funding the Islamists and greenlighting their enrichment of uranium and greenlighting the spinning of centrifuges at underground nuclear weapons facilities and greenlighting the advancement of their ballistic missile program. That's what the Democrat Party did. They're the best thing that ever happened to Iran. The Hussein, just a coincidence that Barack Obama's middle name is Hussein, and that he was we're still debating is the term greenlit or greenlighted. So, most people say greenlit, right? That's what they say. I say he gave the green light to continued enrichment of uranium at underground secret facilities that were built to be bomb-proof, unless you have the MOP, the massive penetrator. And I'm a little hesitant to use that kind of language early in the morning in front of polite company, but it's what the military labeled it. So we have that. We've got all kinds of good stuff. We also have an election going on in New York. The Democrats are electing a Democrat and a communist. They've got a communist who's pretty amazing. And they have the gropester, Grope-mobile Cuomo. Which groping Cuomo? Aren't they all groping Cuomos? I think that maybe not the father Mario, but we weren't talking about that stuff back then. I wouldn't be at all surprised, like father, like son and all that. But they've got Andrew Cuomo, not to be the former governor who killed all those old people in old folks' homes during the Wuhan and was groping and abusing women all over the place as governor. And the Democrats like, yeah, whatever. Never mind that Pound Me Too thing. We never really believed Pound Me Too. That was just a joke. We thought we'd get some Republicans with that, but it turned out it was basically 100% groping Democrats because they all grope, well, the straight ones, they all grope women. And then you have, the Democrats have a governor in New Jersey, Cory Booker. He groped a man's genitalia, pinned him against the wall and he goes around with a beard, doesn't he? He does. But in any case, there's an election in New York, and former governor, and that's what he is, disgraced former governor, Andrew Cuomo, he's running for mayor of New York City. It comes with a free house, and he really needs a free house. His whole family, they like free houses. They like free stuff. Other people's stuff is really what it is. And then they've got this guy who's a communist, and the guy is an unbelievable, just a total commie. And what's his plan? He's got some crazy plans. First of all, he hates the Jews. His name is Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani. Sounds like a satirical name from a comedy movie, doesn't it? Hey, don't mess with the Zohran Mamdani. And Zohran Mamdani, he says he's a democratic socialist. What that means, that's Democrat code for communist, for total communist. And so Zohran Mamdani, he's a lawmaker already, a state lawmaker, and he calls himself a Democrat socialist, which means he's a communist. He's running for mayor of New York City. And he's going to announce a plan to build municipal grocery stores in New York. And each of the 5 boroughs will have what he's calling a municipal grocery store. This is the Soviet Union. This is communist China. This is state-run, government-run grocery stores, and everything's going to be free or it costs a lot less for you, but you can't shop there if you're normal because the commies. Everywhere I go, I hear New Yorkers talking about the outrageous prices of groceries, said Zorhan. Don't mess with the Zorhan. This is a bold and workable plan, he says, Mamdani. He put out a video, and he's got the municipal grocery stores would lower the costs by using city land or city buildings, buying food wholesale. Hey, why didn't grocery stores think of that? You know, if only businessmen had thought about buying wholesale groceries and then selling those groceries at grocery stores, everybody makes a profit. Capitalism lives on. But these people would, if capitalism were a baby, they'd club it to death with a meat tenderizer and harvest its organs. So the municipal grocery stores could lower the cost of groceries by using city land or city buildings and then buying food wholesale. Wow. And they'd be exempt from property taxes, see, because they're the man. They're Mr. Charlie. The rules don't apply to them. And that's what commies do. They roll over the law. They say, well, we don't pay taxes. We've got all the guns. We've got the police department, and we'll kill you all. That's your Democrat Party. It's part of what he says is a broader push by progressive groups. They have multiple progressive groups. You know, they're burning things and stealing everything, but now they're going to steal government land and buildings and buy wholesale. Wow, that's innovative, isn't it? These guys, he must have read the first paragraph of a book on economics. Just amazing stuff. Yeah, they want public options for banking, so they want public options. That means state banks, state-controlled banks, where they would destroy the world. Also, broadband. They're really obsessed with this broadband thing. They have been for years. And I thought they fixed that years ago, that everybody in rural America and urban America and in between America, everybody's going to have super high speed, everything. And they fixed that, and that's why they have to come in and fix that, because they fixed it. Aren't they amazing? Just remarkable stuff. But I want to get to that because that is classic Democrat Party stuff. And I must say that this story made me laugh this morning, Survey shows a majority of Gen Z women won't date a man unless he's in therapy or wants to be in therapy, you know, for psychological problems, because the Democrats have just made everyone weak and sad and pathetic and cross-dressing and gender dysphoric, and everybody's LGBTQIA+, and the plus is just because, I don't know, I'm so screwed up I have no idea. That's what the plus is for. So we've got stories for you. But before we get to any of that, I've got President Trump, because President Trump spoke to the press on the south lawn of the White House this morning. He was headed to Marine One, the beautiful helicopter, which would then take him to Air Force One, the beautiful 747 airplane, taking him to the NATO summit in Europe, which is far away across the Atlantic Ocean, which is to the east of the United States. I know there's some Democrats listening, and everybody knows. So we've got that. But President Trump spoke, and then Boltneck. We got Boltneck. He was the guy that negotiated the JCPOA for Barack Hussein Obama. And, you know, now we're paying the price this week for Barack Obama's anti-American, horrible, terrible facsimile of leadership. We are paying the price. This is what bad leadership looks like. And it creates problems 10 years later because they're so awful. You know, it's done on a big scale. And wait till you hear what Boltneck had to say. He was the head negotiator. When I say head negotiator, I am referring to the size of his skull, which is huge. Makes Boris Karloff look like Pee Wee Herman. He's got a giant head. It's not for brains, though. It's just for thick skulls and room to keep his wife's money. You know, the widow Hines, she inherited the food fortune. Do they use food dyes? I think at Heinz they do. We are at 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Let us go to the telephones, Michael, and talk to the American people, the nice people. Let's see. Let's go to Lucinda. Lucinda calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Lucinda, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Christopher. What I want to say is, Boltneck, remember when those people were massacred and they were Jews in Paris? And he gets James Taylor to go over there and sing You Got a Friend? Well, he could get James Taylor to go over there and sing, hey, let's all be friends, kumbaya, or some crap like that. That was so embarrassing when he did that. These people, they don't have 3 brain cells to rub together. Well, and they're supposed to be the elites.
John Kerry and, they're definitely the elites. They're very musical people, aren't they? The Boltneck, the Boltneck people of the world, liberal Democrats.
God, that was so embarrassing. And they didn't even have his guitar mic'd. You couldn't even hear it. Hey, you know what? I got to hang up. I'm at a meeting, so.
I'm at a meeting. All right, Lucinda.
I'm just pulling up to a hospital, okay? Bye.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Lucinda. That is that's great. Yeah, Boltneck. And it's true, he brought James Taylor. It was to France, right, where Muslims had perpetrated a massacre of people. Isn't that? I'm just doing this from memory. Lucinda surprised me with this one, but I think that's right, where Boltneck, John Kerry, and I know he flew over there on a private jet, on his wife's private jet. He married very well. His first wife was worth like $100 million. His second wife, I think multiple billions, and she's the widow Heinz, because her late husband, Senator John Heinz from Pennsylvania, of the Heinz family fortune, he was killed in the crash of an airplane and a helicopter. And she inherited vast sums of wealth. And John Kerry said, wait a minute, I should marry her. That'd be even better than my current wife, because she's got multiple Gulfstream jets, just beautiful airplanes. I can fly all over the world and then tell people that I really need Gulfstream jets to get around because I'm very important. And I offset my climate change, global warming stuff. And as I explained yesterday, this is very important. When the B-2 bombers flew home, they were 60,000 pounds lighter, therefore much more fuel efficient coming home from Iran, the B-2 bombers. And that, as you know, is good for the environment. And a very, very good Tuesday to you. The world is an interesting place to watch. History happening in real time before our very eyes, day after day. President Trump making big things happen in the world. War and peace in the Middle East, Iran, nuclear weapons, Democrats lying about everything. They helped set up the Iranians with their enrichment and uranium purification process, the ballistic missiles extending their range with each passing day, thanks in large part to the Democrat Party. But we've got a Democrat congresswoman who is a real piece of work. That's I'm keeping it clean piece of work. Jasmine Crockett, speaking of keeping it clean, we were talking about her this morning, and we were reminded of another Democrat in the House of Representatives, Stacey Plaskett, non-voting representative like I have here in Washington, D.C. Stacey Plaskett, Representative Stacey Plaskett from the Virgin Islands, perhaps ironically in this context, because she lashed out on Twitter about a week ago now, and I couldn't. I shared it with you at the time, but I can't use the words that she used because she used a number of terms to describe a portion of the female anatomy, and one of the some 4-letter words. One of them is the C word that you definitely can't use here that she referred to this woman. Can't say that here. Another one begins with, it's another four-letter, begins with TW. TW, it's a four-letter. And then the C word, a four-letter word. And then pum-pum, referred to her as pum-pum. And she's referring, Stacey Plaskett was, to someone that had angered her. And the Democrats, they keep it classy wherever they go. Keep it classy. And now, to update you with the Democrat from Texas, of all places, Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett she's a hero of the Democrat Party, and that means she's a hero of the news media. They all want to date her. And when I say date, what I mean is, all right, so let's go to the Fox News story on this. Representative Jasmine Crockett says she posted a video of herself, which most of the time these people shouldn't do, says there is only one Republican that I know I can count on for sure doing the right thing, Representative Crockett says in a new video. She uses some coarse language and so on. So let's go to soundbite number 12A. We have 12A. We have so many soundbites there. We have 12 and we have 12A. You know, it's like a warplane or a rifle. Got the 12A? I do. So here's Jasmine Crockett, made a video of herself and then posted it out there in public for everyone to see because they're all mentally ill. And this is about the strikes, the military strikes on the nuclear facilities, nuclear weapons facilities in Iran. And by the way, when Republicans refer to these facilities, they should always use the word weapons when they use the word nuclear, and they should always pronounce the word nuclear and not nuclear. That's me. I'm old-fashioned when it comes to pronouncing words the way that they're spelled. Jasmine Crockett posting a video of herself.
So long story short, for those of you that are unaware.
Long story short.
The mofo that resides in the White House has...
The mofo.
Unilaterally, in my estimation...
In her estimation.
Declared war. We have a constitution that seemingly does not matter to this man.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Anybody have any memory for anything? Are they all just doing LSD every day and smoking big fat joints all day every day, and they don't remember anything that happened before the moment that they're speaking, which I think is normal for Democrats? Does she think she's a man? I'm just curious. Does she know what a woman is? Because so many of them don't. But Jasmine Crockett, she's a member of Congress. She's referring to the President of the United States as mofo because he isn't a left-wing Democrat, right? And she is bitter, rancorous, vulgar. It's very fashionable to act like you're from the ghetto, even when you and to speak as though you're from the ghetto, even though you went to private Catholic schools growing up, as did Jasmine Crockett. But pay no attention to that. He's the mofo that she is referring to, and she's the Democrats. They're going to fire on Fort Sumter again, I think, one of these days very soon. Just great. She went to law school at the University of Houston. They have a university in Houston now, and she went to the University of Houston to the law school there, got her law degree. She had Jasmine Crockett. So the mofo, and again, Barack Obama used the U.S. military to attack 8 countries, greater number of countries than any president has used the military to attack since World War II, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Harry Truman did it. They were both Democrats, too, by the way. Aren't they amazing? Jasmine Crockett posted a video.
I go back in on Monday. You could have hollered at us on Monday. If you truly felt like there was something, like, there is nothing that they will say that will make me believe that this action needed to take place, and it needed to take place without the consultation of the Congress.
Without the consultation of the Congress. It's amazing how dumb members of Congress are. So many members of Congress are. The War Powers Act, which requires that the administration notify Congress within 48 hours. And President Trump's administration notified They say they notified Chuck Schumer. They did notify the Speaker of the House and the Republican leader of the Senate, both Republicans, prior to the strikes. They say they notified Chuck Schumer. I think it was an ambush for him because it looks like he's the only one Democrat in Congress that they notified before the strikes, just setting him up to leak it to the New York Times, and then there'd only be one suspect in the leak, and then he'd have to be put in handcuffs and dragged away face down and thrown in the hoosgow, the can. You know how the Democrats, they like it in the can. That's the thing about them. They're funny when it comes to that. Jasmine Crockett. So the mofo, yeah, we'd be back on Monday, and then you could consult with us, which you're not required to do. And why would you consult with any? If I were the president, I think I'd put out an invitation to Jasmine Crockett to come to the White House, and then I'd just cancel it, just for fun. Just say, hey, I got an invitation to the White House. Say, oh, sorry, that was a mistake. We're going to cancel that. Jasmine Crockett posted a video of herself.
Everything that he does is like against the law. Like, he just breaks the law. And I'm not saying these things because I'm a Democrat. I'm saying these things because
Stupid,
I am a
ignorant,
black woman in America who just happens to be educated enough to know what the law is.
She's saying it not just because not because she's a Democrat, but because she's a black woman in America. That's why she's saying it. That makes sense. If you you belong to the party of the plantation and the bullwhip, I guess that explains why you feel the need to speak up as a black woman in America. You should be spending every breath that you have on this earth denouncing the Democrat Party and the history of racism and plantations in the Confederate States of America. But instead, you're one of their crackers now. Isn't that amazing? Jasmine Crockett. And she posted this video on the internet for everyone to see.
While some people want to disparage my credibility and act as if I don't know what I'm talking about, I can absolutely guarantee to you that if you Google war and authority and Constitution, you're going to see Congress.
If you Google war and authority and Constitution, you're going to see Congress. And she just lectured us about how smart she is and well-educated she is, and that the reason she has to say it is because she's a black woman in America. How does she know she's a woman? That's what I want to know. Isn't that amazing? War and various other things, you're going to find Congress. We Googled that this morning, and it's not what you find. So the University of Houston has called. They'd like their law degree back. Thank you. Thank you very much. Aren't you amazing? Yes, indeed. All right, I've got a lot of good stuff coming up for you. Crazy Democrat. I've got Boltneck, John Kerry, Boltneck coming up. President Trump, as he was leaving the White House today. And in the meantime, let us take a phone call because there's a very smart woman on the line. Oh, she just dropped off? Is that right? Okay. Well, that I can't go to her if she just dropped off. I'd tell you what, let's go to, now that we've had one Democrat, Jasmine Crockett, who is, I think, is it fair to refer to her as a mofo? Does that seem reasonable? Mama Jamma, she's really something. Let's go to Boltneck because Boltneck is on a tear now. And again, he's the guy that was the Barack Hussein Obama's lead dog when it came to negotiating away the safety and security of the planet Earth. One of the observations that I made on my television show on the Newsmax channel at 10 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, is that Iran has been lusting for an arsenal of nuclear weapons, not so that they as a nation would be safe and secure from invasion, but so that they would be dangerous. They want nuclear weapons not to be safe. They want nuclear weapons to be dangerous. Very different. There have been, that's true of North Korea and the Soviet Union and the Chinese, and that's been a problem for quite some time. Let's go to Boltneck. because Boltneck sat down with Christiane Amanpour, who used to be in the news business long ago, kind of, and now she's Christiane Amanpour, and she's got a celebrity syndrome of some kind. And she sat down with John Boltneck Kerry, who may or may not have flown to the interview aboard his wife's Gulfstream jet, which he's entitled to do because he uses her money, which she inherited, to buy offsets from left-wing groups that then say it's okay for them to fly on Gulfstream jets, private jets, made in Georgia, great jets. And here's Boltneck and Amanpour.
You cannot bomb away the memory of how to make a bomb. You can't bomb away the knowledge that they have developed. You can't bomb away, the broad array of technicians who've been working on this for years, who will go back to work if that's the mission they're given by the leadership of the country.
They literally don't follow the news. A great many of their lead scientists have been killed in Iran in strikes, and some are even saying in assassinations. But just 6 hours ago, Israeli airstrike claims life of Iranian nuclear scientist, one of their lead scientists. You see, Israel figured this out. Maybe that's why they have so many Nobel Prizes and you don't, Boltneck. So you can't bomb away the knowledge. Well, of course you can, you moron. you kill the scientists. And that's what's happening because you're a nuclear weapons scientist. John Boltneck. Kerry.
One of the dangers here is that the more this goes on in a military way, the more power goes to the worst offenders within Iran, the IRGC. And that's not good for anybody.
The IRGC, it's the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, not the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which so many Democrats say. Also, 2 days ago, Israeli Operation Narnia. Iranian nuclear scientists killed, plural. John Boltneck doesn't follow the news.
There's a whole amount of talk now. Even Trump is saying, and I don't know whether he's being egged on by the Prime Minister of Israel or the others who have regime change in their mind. But you have just raised a potential result of regime change, that it's not some happy, clappy democracy overnight. It could be a much harder line. And you've just raised the Revolutionary Guard, and others have as well. Do you fear that that is a risk that could happen?
Yes. There he is. Aren't they amazing? And Amanpour, again, of Iranian stock, but raised in London mostly, and Boltneck, just amazing. You can't bomb the memory of how to make a nuclear bomb. No, but you can sure take away all the nuclear materials that you need. And if the scientists, I got to tell you, the generals, the scientists, they're getting phone calls on their cell phones late at night while they're at home with their families from the Israelis saying, we know where you are right now with your family. Maybe you want to leave Iran. Boltneck.
Oh, I think it's an enormous risk. I think it's beyond a risk. It's the greater likelihood because they're the people with the guns and with the military power. And
the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, might take over. It's, the WHO, meet the new boss, same as the old boss, only worse. Everybody's aware of this stuff, but they act like it's just occurring to them for the first time as though they're geniuses. Wait a minute. If there's a change in regime in Iran, bad guys might take over. Oh, you think? Oh, you're not as dumb as you obviously appear to be. Not as dumb as you look. Just great. Yeah, and you can't bomb away the memory of how to make a bomb. Well, I guess that's true. You can kill all the people that have a memory of how to make that bomb, and you can... of course, they have apparently moved a lot of their radioactive materials, their enriched uranium, which they weren't allowed to enrich beyond 3.67% purity. But they enriched to 60% purity. And guess who they want to blame for all that? Speaking of which, I got President Trump coming up as well. He spoke to the press before getting aboard Marine One at the White House this morning. And he said a lot of things, and he used a bad word. I've got all that coming up. Now, with President Trump last night declaring a ceasefire with a timeline, and it was quite remarkable. I've got to say, we were out with a friend, and we were at a restaurant. We were sitting at the bar at the restaurant. We weren't there to eat. We were just having a couple of cocktails with a friend last night, and we got word of the ceasefire. And I've got to say, and I've got President Trump coming up on this, there is a lot to say about this because, not everybody agrees that a ceasefire right now is the best possible thing. President Trump is talking Nobel Peace Prize, bringing peace to India, Pakistan, and Congo and Africa and all kinds of good stuff. And now Iran and Israel be kind of a big deal. The problem is that while a great many of their nuclear capabilities have been knocked out by B-2 bombers, American military might, because, peace through superior firepower has proved effective many times in the past. But it's not really the avenue you always want to pursue. And President Trump didn't want to pursue this. And he offered around 60 days to come to the table and strike a deal. And instead, they struck at the Jews. They're like Democrats that way. Remarkable stuff. But let me say, I've had some back and forth on this topic. A ceasefire right now, for example, may actually save the Iranian regime. Israel has been striking targets, the power base of the regime. In fact, yesterday they struck a prison, the gates of a prison, where the Iranians keep political prisoners, insurrectionists, rebels, and blew up the entrance to the prison so that all of the political prisoners could break out. And Israel did this quite deliberately and maybe make trouble for the regime. You do have to worry, as Boltneck and Amanpour observed the obvious. You have to be concerned that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, might end up ascending to power there, and that would not be an enhancer for the world. But at least they wouldn't be this close to nuclear weapons. But a ceasefire now could save the regime, preserve the status quo.